You will have tough times in life. And when people suffer, we don't always get it right. Let's face it, you live in a fallen world, and everything in it has fallen from perfection. Inside of you is a deceitful and desperately wicked heart. Everyone around you was born with this same nature. So everyone, including you, has the potential to cause pain. So you will suffer. It's inevitable. But you must not let suffering put your soul in danger. Let me share with you what Yahuwah has taught me, so that hardship does not cause you to turn your back on Yah. You must understand who your enemy is during suffering, recognize his tactics, and respond in a way as not to allow suffering to contaminate your soul. Pain, sorrow, rejection, grief, all can become gateways for sin. And if you don't guard yourself from seeds that ought not take root in your heart or mind, then by default, you will forfeit eternity with Yah. You must learn the tactics of the enemy so that you can protect your heart. And for this, let us turn to the book of Job. Job was a man of integrity who feared God. He was a rich man, the greatest man in the East, with land, servants, cattle, and more. He loved God so much that he would offer burnt offerings to God for his 7 sons and 3 daughters, just in case any of them had sinned in their hearts. Having background about his character and his possessions gives more context for us to start reading from Job chapter 1, verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. Here we see Satan admitting that he spends much time traveling the earth. Even though he was able to present himself before Yah, his intense focus is on those who live in earth. He is studying you. He is learning you. He's looking at your trends, patterns, and tendencies to see how he can defeat you. Verse 8, And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the works of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. It's obvious that Satan did not just take a passive glimpse at Job, but he is prowling. If he was casually looking, he probably would not have noticed the extent of the barrier. But Satan is focused in his study of Job. He has analyzed Job's hedge and knows that the hedge exists around Job, around his house, and is positioned on every side. This is because he is looking for an entry point. But God set a boundary that he could not cross. So even though Satan is studious in his attack, Almighty Yah can create barriers that Satan cannot cross, not without permission. It is in verse 11 that Satan reveals his objective. He states, But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. Remember what Satan is saying here, because he is actually telling us his objective, and that is to get Job to curse Yahuwah to his face. Let's continue reading. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. Yes, Satan can petition Yah, but God sets the boundaries. Verse 13. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job, and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabaeans fell upon them, and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. This goes to show that Satan influences human beings to help accomplish his goals. Here, an entire group of people are open to the suggestions and directions of the enemy to join and steal Job's oxen and asses and kill all of the servants in the area, leaving only one to survive and tell the story. Verse 16. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Building upon the previous verse, not only does Satan use human beings to accomplish his goal, he is very strategic in whom he chooses, especially in trying times. This servant is the only one that the fire did not consume. And what does he report? He comes and implies that the tragedy came from Yahweh. He didn't say that fire fell out of the sky, but declares to Job that the fire of God came down, pointing his finger, implying that God is the cause of the catastrophe. Digressing, we must remember that Satan has studied this servant too. He knew the tendencies and the heart of this servant. By design, Satan chose the one who would blame Yah so that he could be used to plant the seed in Job's mind that everything he is going through is because of Yahweh. Verse 17. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. This is the second time we see the involvement of nature to accomplish the enemy's goals. First, it was fire that burned the servants and the sheep. Now we see the participation of the wind. All of these events happening in one day reiterates that the enemy is clever and strategic. To arrange for such a plethora of events to happen in one day takes skill, experience, patience, and determination. Job lost his social status, riches, servants, and children, all in one day. Then Job arose and rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground and worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Despite the servant implying that Yahweh was the one orchestrating these misfortunes, that the one whom Job had served and offered sacrifices to had betrayed his loyalty. Despite what was said, Job did not blame Yahweh. Instead, he worshiped him. Verse 22, in all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. Because of the relationship that Job had with Yahweh, because of his faith in God, Job offered the sacrifice of worship, which was the total opposite of what Satan had planned. We know this because Satan revealed his end goal in verse 11 when he stated, "But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face." The enemy wanted Job to curse Yahweh. Brothers and sisters, Satan's end goal is not to make your life painful. That's not why he wants to hurt you so bad. His objective is not just to make you suffer, feel neglected, or traumatize you. That's not what he's all about. It's not just about making your life miserable. That's never been his end goal. He's not after your life. He is after your soul. It's a difference. And we are so often stuck in our emotions, seeking for empathy or feeling sorry for ourselves, that we ignore the fact that the enemy's goal isn't for you to just cry. It's for you to curse God. Just like Job, Satan attempts to cause you pain for the purpose of planting seeds in your heart that will contaminate the purity of your soul. The enemy has studied human beings for decades. He knows that hurt people hurt people. He knows that pain often turns to bitterness, hatred, anger, and emotions or a mindset that is opposite of a pure heart. The goal wasn't just to kill Job's children. The goal wasn't to make Job poor. It was to create a division in the relationship that he had with Yah by causing pain to plant emotions that would contaminate the heart. Because suffering does not send you to hell. Suffering is not a sin, but the wrong heart posture can. It's the separation and disconnection from God that we so often embrace during trials that leads to eternal damnation. Satan wants to constantly plant seeds and make you question God's goodness, blame Yah, hate Yah, or misrepresent who Yah really is. And if we dwell on those things that we lost, what we're going through, or how we feel, we create an entryway for the enemy to plant seeds of anger, bitterness, malice, strife, hatred, and unforgiveness in our hearts. While we are focused on what he did, what she said, how that person made me feel, how it hurt, the pain it caused. Satan is trying to plant things that will keep your soul from gaining heaven. It's a sneak attack, but people are so blind that they do not see it. Cursing God was a symptom of complete loss of faith in him. It represented a disconnection. The enemy is not after your life. His end game is not watching you wallow in misery. He's after your soul. Divorce, molestation, rape, neglect, mistreatment, trauma, all of these things are horrible and causes unexplainable suffering. I cannot minimize the degree of sorrow that happens in so many life events. But we must remember, being raped does not send you to hell. Neglect, molestation, divorce, trauma, those things do not send you to hell. What gets you sent to hell is the seed of unforgiveness. Satan is not after making you suffer. That's not his final destination. That's not his wish for your life. He wants to plant seeds of unforgiveness in your heart to where your heart says, I don't forgive them. I don't forgive you for this. I don't forgive you for that. I can't forgive you for the way that you made me feel. Because the seed of unforgiveness can continue to grow and contaminate your soul. It can even blossom into hatred and foster its own demonic atmosphere. Abused, overlooked, lied on causes pain. But pain doesn't send you to hell. But the seed of hatred, hating those who did something to you, who treated you that way. Seeds of anger, hatred, and unforgiveness join together and contaminate your soul and will affect your eternity. Heartache, misfortune, those things causes sorrow. But sorrow doesn't get you sent to hell. It's the seed of bitterness. Bitterness towards God because life did not happen the way that you wanted it to happen. The seed can grow in your heart and keep you from eternity with the Most High. Then there's another side to this. Remember, when Satan said that he checked the entire hedge? Well, if he can't get you through hardship, he comes at you a different way. He may come through your talent, your beauty, intellect, accolades, achievement, career, riches, fame, power, popularity, all of those things. Success does not get you sent to hell. It's the seed of arrogance that can come with it. The seed of pride, the seed of disobedience. Those are the things that get people sent to hell. This is one of the reasons why we must work out our own soul salvation with fear and trembling. We cannot steer to the right or to the left, because either way, Satan wants to plant seeds that create a heart posture that keeps us divided from Yah. Let me tell you my testimony. I went through something in life and I felt mistreated. I called my sister and told her about what had happened. I called my sister-in-law and talked to her about it. Then I called and told my brother. I was looking for affirmation in my opinion of the matter, and I knew that I was innocent in the situation. When I went to pick up the phone again, Yahweh told me, stop watering that seed. Because every time I told someone about it, I was watering the seed of bitterness because I was reliving it, rethinking it over and over. Yet I was never satisfied. But along with looking for satisfaction, I was reliving the feelings of betrayal, hurt, pain, and the sorrow that came with that situation. I was watering the seed over and over, and Yah showed me that those seeds were not growing because of the person who did something to me. It was growing because of me. The very thing that Satan was trying to plant in me that could have easily been scooped out of my heart because I did not give it any root. I was now burying it, watering it, and making sure it was being watered by the behavior I displayed. Who was responsible for this? Not that person. My blood was on my own hands because I would not let it go. What they did to me would not have gotten me sent to hell, but my heart posture, the result of how I reacted, could have gotten me sent there. The sneak attack. Satan knew my tendencies. He is studious about my habits. He knows how I would react to it. How foolish was I? How naive was I? We know the tactics of the enemy, yet because of our emotions, we let him into areas that he does not belong in. Job endured unimaginable suffering, but if you read the end, he is blessed beyond measure. The gospel, or the good news in Job's story, is this. Yes, there were hedges. There were hedges around him. There was a hedge around his house, and on all that he had on every side. And Yahweh negotiated, and Satan penetrated those exterior hedges. But the one thing that Satan didn't think of, but that the Most High already knew, was that there was still a hedge. And the hedge that Job had was around his heart. That hedge was Yahweh's Spirit. There is still a hedge because God gave us His Ruach. And this hedge is non-negotiable. Yah does not negotiate and say that Satan can take this hedge from us. Yahweh may allow Satan to take all of the exterior hedges away, but there is still a hedge if you have His Spirit. God knows if we have His Ruach, the enemy cannot penetrate it. We will not curse Yah. We will not go down, because the Most High gave us a hedge that Satan cannot touch. There is still a hedge. You may endure hardship continuously in life, but God still has a hedge about you. The enemy cannot penetrate that force field, and it is not up for negotiation. That boundary is your protection and guard. The only one that can give up that hedge is you. You have to forfeit that hedge. Satan cannot take it away. You would have to give it away. But if you hold on to that hedge and be a good steward of your heart, all of these seeds that Satan wants to plant can't take root. He cannot contaminate your soul because of your hedge. So no matter how your life feels or looks, no matter what you go through, you don't have to focus only on those exterior hedges. Allowing Job's exterior hedges to lapse was Yahweh's way of showing you and I that He is our only hedge. His Spirit is our hedge. So we must learn from this. We may suffer, but our suffering is not in vain. The Most High has always promised us that He will turn our suffering into significance. Whatever happens in our life, He changes it, He recycles it, and it becomes a source of power. Your suffering is significant. He knows it, and He will do something about it. It may not be in your timing, but He will do something about it. Just hold on to your hedge. And if you don't have His internal hedge, seek for it. Because Satan will come and try those exterior hedges. But if you grab hold of the hedge that guards your heart and soul, you can still say, "It is well with my soul." You can still fall on your knees and worship, just like Job. Finally, I leave you with this. Romans 8:18. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. Let us pray. Our Father, You alone are the hedge around us. You are the force field over the hearts of Your people. As we endure challenging times, help us to face it with the right mindset and the right heart posture. Help us to remember that You will reward every tear, You will heal every wound, and You will turn our suffering into significance. Take out any seeds in our hearts that do not belong. Help us not to allow room for the enemy to plant any more seeds to put us in a state of recovery at his will. Purify our hearts, purge us, and strengthen us for this battle. You are the kingdom, power, and glory. Hallelujah.